Okay.
I think we're live
Sorry,
now.
my laptop's kind of low.
It's okay.
I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, yeah. Scheduled. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
I guess. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm joined by the one and only Tiana. If you are familiar with her channel, she talks all things physical media and everything in between. All right, how are you doing today, Tiana?
I'm good. How are you today, Joel?
I'm well. You know, it's Monday, just getting the week started. All right, so our topic for today is Halloween movie essentials, and I figure I just give you a handful of movies that stand out to me, and I feel like those movies are are like the standard, like must watch movies for around Halloween time, October. You know, when the weather's changing, and I feel like I'll get a guest on, and I picked you. So yeah. Do you want to start us off, or?
Yeah, I can definitely start us off. I'll do
Okay.
the first one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I guess I picked basically mainly movies that they're pretty typical Halloween movies too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The first one I'm gonna start off with would have to be Bride of Chucky. I
Oh. Okay.
love
Okay.
this movie. It's
Right.
super fun.
Yeah.
Do you like Bride of Chucky? Oh, what's your favorite like out of the Chucky series? That's my favorite.
So years back, I used to come up with like a list of 31 movies. Like I was determined to watch a horror movie every single day, at least one. And my number one would always be, for a few years running, it would be Child's Play.
Okay.
And then years pass, and it's like, I'm tired of this movie. But it's still, it's still a great film. It's still great. It's still a great first entry. And I think, yeah, for me, the first one is, a must watch. Part two is right behind it. Part two is,
Part
I
two
think,
is good.
it feels campy a little bit. It feels like with Chucky, he starts to have a little, we see a little more comedic side to him, a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I feel
and
like yeah, go ahead.
and with Bride of Chucky, it took me a little while to get on board with it
I
when it
like the
first came out.
kills. The kills are so fun. No.
No, I mean it's the fourth entry.
All right,
Jennifer
I see.
Tilly obviously is a great
Oh, she
and
kills it.
character to get on board with her, and Chucky is just chemistry. There's chemistry there. Somehow, some
Lots of
way they made it
chemistry.
work.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not my favorite of the
Hey,
franchise.
there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
but yeah. So okay. So for me, how I have 10 films written down. Um, 5 of them, and which are runner-ups, you could say.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with The Thing. The Thing is one of those one in a million remakes that somehow John Carpenter got it right, and later on brought on a whole slew of fans, and still to this day it's talked about, and it's just it worked. Mainly because some watch it for the like paranoia in which all the characters are grouped together, and so another, there's that group that love it for the special effects, and I'm in between. I love it for both those reasons alone.
I'd have to say the special effects are pretty awesome. So I think I'm more of the special effects for that movie for sure.
Hmm. I agree.
But
Yeah.
it's a good one.
All right, let's check into the comments here. Our life in horror. Hey, Sam or Brendan. I don't know who it is, but let's see. Our life in horror is on.
Hello.
Just here, see if I can get them on board here. There we go. uh, yeah, so that's just a runner up. Yeah, so the thing is a
So one
runner
of the
up for
runner-ups.
me.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. Cool. Do you have another
Yeah.
recommendation for October?
Okay. So my next one is I couldn't find my physical copy of this one, but that's okay. But it's Silence of the Lambs. And
Oh, yeah.
I know lots of people say like either it's a horror or it's not a horror. I think
Mm,
it's a little bit of both. But I
hmm.
love watching it. It's so good.
Yes. Yes, it is. I agree. I believe I watched it sometime this year, and it still holds up as far as, the story, and, Buffalo Bill comes
Oh
into the
yeah.
picture, and what stood out to me this time around was there seems to be like a little chemistry, some romance between Jodie
Oh,
Foster and her
okay.
her 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 boss, right? The FBI
Okay.
guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you picked up any of those things. Just I
I
don't
could
know.
feel the vibe a little bit.
Yeah,
I see where you're going with that for sure.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, and as far as Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, he's only in the film what, like the total of less 15 minutes,
Yeah, still
but
good.
he's
Still right?
memorable.
Oh, very
Yeah.
memorable. I love
Oh,
that line that they say like it puts the lotion on the skin or it gets the hose. It's
yeah,
always in my
yeah,
head.
yeah. Gosh. What would be interesting is, I don't know, it might be too late, but if we got like a prequel about Buffalo Bill
I
and how
love
he came to
that.
be. Yeah, but
Like
who
why
knows
he like ate people and like
why
why
he became. Yeah,
that would be cool. I would watch that.
yeah.
I guess even the show didn't really like the Hannibal show.
Hmm.
It didn't
Oh
really
yeah, I
show
forgot
that
about that.
either. Yeah, because
Mhm.
the show is good. Did you watch the show, Joel?
No, but it starred Mads Mikkelsen or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was a pretty good show. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was a good one.
I believe there's some sequels too, like Hannibal and Red Dragon or something like
Red
that.
Dragon's good.
Yeah,
Have you seen both of those two or just The Silence of the Lambs?
it's been some years since I've watched both Hannibal and Red Dragon.
Okay.
I'm due for a rewatch for sure.
You are due for a rewatch.
Yeah,
All
I
three.
believe, yeah. I believe they're both available right now on like Tubi. They're around.
Oh yeah.
All right, so my next runner up is Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2. Now I'm not gonna lie, this the first time I watched Evil Dead 2, I couldn't stop laughing. There were a lot of humorous moments for me. But then after a while, I got it became less funny and more, entertaining. And all the slapstick stuff aside, I respect the hell out of this movie. I think a lot of people do.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's to me right now, I think it's becoming overrated. I think it's, for me at least, and I that's why it's a runner up
So hot take.
for these kind of.
I usually go more towards like out of that series, I go more towards Army of Darkness. I like that
Okay.
one a lot. Out of like
Yeah.
all of them, I like that one.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah. That's
did you see the new one, Joel?
Evil Dead Rise.
Mhm.
I did. Yeah, I caught it a couple times. No,
Did you enjoy it? A lot of people have mixed
I
feelings about
did.
it. I enjoyed it
I
also.
did enjoy it. I thought it was clever. I thought that it brought a lot of new ideas to the table. Like for
Yeah.
instance, it brought up the fact that there's more than one book of the dead. There's like a
Mhm.
few, right? So that's clever.
We're
And
so
of just
clever.
yeah, and just the fact that it it took place in, this apartment building, and not, some a cabin in the woods. I also like that idea too. So I was on board, with a lot of it. And I feel like it's a real competition with that 2013 remake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the one like I it wasn't really a kill because she didn't die from it, but the cheese grater, that was
Mhm.
very creative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Let's see. So yeah, I look forward to, and if there's a future Evil Dead movie in the works, that I'm up for it.
Me too.
uh, so I wrote down a zombie movie. Now I've seen my fair share of zombie movies over the years. Some bad, some watchable stuff too. Um,
I find
I,
some of those bad ones are definitely some good ones. Because
in a way, yeah.
in a way, you're like, okay, I had a blast with that, and then you're like,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. So for me, the two standouts, obviously, Return of the Living Dead
Mhm.
and Return of the Living Dead Part Two. Now, Part Two, I always admired. I always admired more than Part One. Just for some reason, it I don't know, the story kind of stuck with me. I don't know. How these kids messing around with this tank. It leaks into the cemetery, and just all hell breaks loose. I don't know. It just Yeah, I liked it.
It's a good one for sure.
Yeah, I used to own them for the longest time. I had a slew of horror DVDs, but then one day I got rid of them and donated them. I had like 4 bags, 3 or 4 bags of DVDs that I got rid of, and I left them inside my local library just for
Yeah.
donation purposes, and they got picked up, obviously, and to this day I regret it. But anyways, it happens.
Yeah,
All right.
there's nothing wrong with that for sure. I think everyone in Lifetime has donated some DVDs for sure.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I
do you
like
have mhm,
yeah, I like for zombie movies because we're on the topic of zombie movies.
mhm.
I really like so for comedy like Shaun of the Dead is
Oh,
so good. Oh yeah.
it is. It
And
is.
then for like my like favorite zombie movie, it would have to be like Dawn of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so fun. It's a great one.
I actually, my buddy and I caught it in theaters, and we're at the cusp of not quite, old enough to see it, but somehow we ended up watching it in the theater.
Oh,
I
that's
think it was just
cool.
him. I think it was just him and I think we had a great time. And
Yeah, it's a blast.
um,
That would have been
it
so cool to
is.
see on the big screen.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if it's the first like zombie movie that introduced like running zombies. I don't know.
I think so, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. So, do you have another film
Oh,
in
yeah.
mind that's
So I'd have to say, I think this one's horror to me. I love watching it. I watch this one like at least more than once a year, and that's The
Mhm.
Blob.
Oh, wow. Yes.
I love The Blob. It's so fun. It's a
Yes.
great movie.
And not enough people talk about that movie.
No,
Um,
it's
no,
so
yeah,
underrated.
it is. It
Very
is.
underrated.
How I was able to watch it was mainly through Tubi. Tubi offers it, and that's
Mm.
how I watch it. I don't have a physical copy of it, but it's so good.
I like that in America. I noticed there's one YouTuber I watch and he goes to a blob fest. And I was like, that's the
Wow,
coolest thing ever.
that's the first time I've heard of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And they
amazing.
go watch the movie and then well, in the movie the one of the scenes is like with them running out of the movie theater. You get to
Yes,
do that. So I was like, that's so
insane.
cool.
I would, what would be perfect if a local movie chain would have the Blob showing, at their theater.
Oh,
That'd be
that'd be
so
so
cool.
fun. That'd be awesome.
Yes. Oh man, there are a lot of. Now that I think back, there are a lot of interesting scenes in that movie, standout scenes. The
Oh,
first
lots.
kill with that doctor, and just like, oh man.
It's just so good. Whoever thought a blob, just a random blob that was created by a doctor, would just kill everything.
Well, didn't it land like and come from space, outer space or something?
Yeah,
I think
it
it
like
did.
came from like outer space or some weird thing, and then they were looking into it, and it started eating people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, great choice, great choice.
Thank
So
you.
my next runner up is Fright Night. Had to put a vampire film, and if I did, it's definitely Fright Night. Directed by same guy who directed the first Child's Play movie, Chucky movie, and it is Tom Holland. Yeah, Tom Holland cooked up something a simple premise. A teenage kid in high school finds out his next door neighbor, who just moved in, by the way, is a vampire, and he's just a nosy kid that finds out more and more, and it just makes for great entertainment. Have you seen? Tell me, have you seen
I
Fright Night?
I have seen Fright Night. There's like a. Do you like the original as well? So there's the original, and then there's a remake, right?
Yeah, I'm specifically talking about the original.
The original. Okay, I thought so.
Mhm.
Do you like the remake?
Again, it's been some years since I've
Has
seen it.
It's
I
been a
wasn't
while,
on
yeah.
board. I wasn't on board with it. Colin Farrell's in it, I think. Yeah, it just didn't stick with me. But I should, again. It's one of those rewatches. I'm gonna have to rewatch it to get a refresher. But chances are, I'm gonna say by the end, the original is gonna always gonna
The original
stand
always.
stand on its own
Sometimes, yeah.
for sure. So yeah, Fright Night stuck with me. I'm glad I own a copy. Um,
Is
yeah,
that
it's
your
just
favorite vampire movie? Would you say?
close to it. I know The Lost
Okay.
Boys is up there too, but it just, I don't know. There's something about Fright Night that calls my name when it comes to the world of vampires. Um,
I like The Lost Boys, but I also just seen The Lost Boys for the first time last year, so
wow,
that
yeah.
was my first watch last year.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I've always liked the original, like Dracula. I always
Hmm.
think
Oh yeah,
that's the best vampire way, but that's,
yeah.
yeah, one of my
Sure.
favorites.
Yes, the original Dracula. Yeah.
Hmm.
Bella Lugosi. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So yeah, what Lost Boys and Fright Night have in common is very 80s. They're very 80s in they show, but the practical effects, hands
That is just
down.
so fun nowadays.
Yes, and
Like,
I love that. These new YouTubers too. They hey Davey,
hello.
let's see, Davey Deathray. Let's see if he pops up here. If you haven't seen Davey's channel, go check his out. He's always doing streams. He's very entertaining. Go check his channel out, guys. Yeah, back to Fright Night. It the practical effects just rule. The 80s practical effects are untouchable, I think.
They are
They,
though.
just, they, oh man, there's something about them that are special and they feel earned. They don't show up. Like some movies, they'll make you wait till like by the third act to get all gross and just icky, but it's worth it. I mean, yeah, for instance, Fright Night's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's a great movie for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so do you have a recommendation?
I got a few more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to say, like, this is always a Halloween classic, and it's like really dear to my heart. Is Scream.
Oh yeah.
This movie is my first like movie I watched when I was a child, and I got so scared of this movie. My brother showed me, and I had nightmares. Like, I still have nightmares to this day of Ghostface chasing me. It's just great.
I love it. I love Scream because just the fact that what Wes Craven was able to put together with a script from Kevin Williamson, and even it doesn't get old for me. It doesn't get tiresome.
No,
I
it
like it,
honestly doesn't.
and it's so clever in the way that we get no really subtle hints as to who might be the killer, and it's just so the movie makes us, you know, it's so focused on the story rather than the killings, and it just makes for a great movie.
Do you like the newer Screams also? Like, I find them they're a blast, but like I always go back to the original because the original is always the best. And it's that scene, the first scene in that movie is like the best kill scene, like out of them
So
all.
Scream 5 for me, I like that it was for a new generation mixed in with some of the old heads. Um, it was fine. It was fine. I
Yeah,
didn't love it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. 6 really took some swings that just didn't stick with me. I couldn't get into it.
I
It was
didn't really care for it. I watched
yeah.
it. It was good, but then like no one was dying. Like,
Mhm.
and I was like, what is going on? Like the main characters, they didn't kill anyone.
Right, right. It was just, I think it was a wasted opportunity because if you're gonna set it in a big city, at least take advantage of
Mm,
that. Um, but yeah,
they didn't.
it was a big mess
I
in a
can't wait
way,
to see.
in my
Yes,
opinion.
I can't wait to see what they do with number 7. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
where it's going, but it's
Mhm.
going to be really interesting to see like where they take the story.
Yeah, I've heard some things, some rumors about
Mhm.
upcoming movie. Regardless, I'm gonna see it and
Me too.
see what
Me
happens.
too. We got to see what happens, right?
Yeah. So okay, so I think we're reaching now my top 5 must watches for the month of October. And I'm gonna start by number 5 is Candyman.
Oh,
I just rewatched it again. It's oh man, it's so brilliant because
it's fun.
it feels like you're so invested in this like investigation. We have this college student, Helen, played by Virginia Madsen. She's doing this like big report on or thesis on the legend of Candyman. It just it feels so like real life almost. She's so invested in it, and she's willing to go the extra mile, and we get introduced to this big apartment complex, Cabrini Green, and the fact that we learn so much about Candyman. he doesn't show up. Tony Todd doesn't show up on screen till like what 45 minutes into the movie, an hour.
I
But
think,
once he
yeah.
does, it's like whoa, his presence on screen is just spectacular. Candyman, yeah, it's all sorts of fun, and it's a bona fide banger for sure. It's a horror movie that still to this day is talked about. Tony, for specifically for Tony Todd, his performance
His performance is
unforgettable.
amazing. Oh gosh, yeah.
It is. Mhm. His voice is so haunting. All right, so do you have a pick?
All
You
right.
have another film in mind?
So I really, really, really enjoy A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is one of
Yes.
my favorites. I just
Yeah.
love Freddy. He is just so like original, funny, and like I think he's the best horror character out of like Jason and Michaels and all that.
Yeah.
I love him. Yeah.
I yes. Iconic. Iconic. He I don't remember the first time I experienced A Nightmare on Elm Street, but I know I didn't see it all the way through till years later.
Mhm.
What I admire most about that first entry was what Wes Craven was able to do and with these characters. And a great example is the whole Tina scene. She's being, dragged up through her bedroom wall
Oh
and
yeah.
just on the ceiling. Now, now I own the Blu-ray. I just own a copy of the standard Blu-ray, and it
Mhm.
has really really good special features on it. And the way that that scene was put together it blows my mind. Especially a film like from the 80s. It came out in the 80s, and I was just mesmerized by how it all came together for
Like
that scene
there's
alone.
yeah, like there's scenes like when I forget her name when she's in the bathtub and the claw like comes up and I was like,
Yes,
"Oh gosh."
yes. It's little things like that
Mhm.
that makes a film stand out.
Yeah, it's like kind of like if you were to like you know how like Final Destination movies are kind of like it's real life? It's like
Yeah.
the Freddy ones it's like okay, that could like happen like,
Mhm.
from something. Yeah. And he's like this evil dude who like comes in your dreams and it's just it's creepy, but I
It
love
is.
it.
Yeah, we've never had a villain like this that's
No,
intent that wants to kill you and intentionally get you in your dreams.
like basically take over your body too. Like
Yeah,
there's ones where he took over I forget his name. I forget what one it was. I think it was the third one and he like took over I forget his name, but you took over his body.
right, right. And
Yeah.
just the fact that you have what's her name? Our main lead, she
Yeah.
plans to take down this guy, bring him into the real world. But in order to do that, she has to fall asleep and encounter him in her dreams.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling.
It's
And
so mind-blowing.
it is just, and just the idea, not only the final product, but just
Mhm.
those little ideas that make for perfect movies.
Oh yeah.
So my number 4 is The Exorcist. Um, to me, that's the creme de la creme. That's the top of the food chain as far as horror movies go. At least for me, we've never seen a film like this. Um, I feel like it's more than an exorcism movie. So memorable. I believe when it came out in the 70s, People were like shocked by it for reasons.
Well, people said it was like really gross, and like people were like really scared and they were vomiting also because of that scene. And I remember people telling me like that's really scary. And then when I checked it out, I was like, okay, this is not scary. But also if you're religious, it would be more scary for you because of
Absolutely.
your beliefs and stuff. So for me, because like I mean I'm Catholic and stuff, but for me it didn't really scare me. But
Mhm.
also it's from the eight like it's from a very long time ago. Like that's 70s or is that 80s?
Late
That one.
70s. Late
Okay, okay.
70s.
So
Yeah.
then when I watched it for the first time, I was like, "Oh, why is this so scary? Why are people scared of this?"
Mhm.
But that was like my opinion on the exorcism. I watch it now, but yeah, for me I kind of had to keep watching it to get scared of it.
I think what's so terrifying is that this in the film it happens to a little girl named Reagan, and she's played by Linda Blair. And to have her the main subject in the movie is so like you feel for her. She's vulnerable a lot of times, and that leads to her being possessed. Um, yeah, and to think that this could, I think it became controversial because of as a child, it's a child that this happened to, um, and for other reasons, of course.
So it
But I
probably
just,
scared more of parents like back then because
mhm,
parents are like, "Oh my gosh, like my child could be possessed by
yeah,
something." So that
right,
probably yeah, so that was kind of but yeah, it's
and
a good
and
movie.
it is. It still
Yeah.
stands,
Oh
at the
yeah.
top today. Um, and I believe during the making of the movie, I think like the set like was like blessed to make sure that nothing on set bad happened on set.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, there if you have Shutter, if you've been on Shutter, there's a little series called like
Oh,
Cursed Films, and each episode is dedicated to a movie that stuff occurred during the making of that movie, like
The Conjuring.
Poltergeist, The Exorcist, and some others.
The Conjuring is
And
terrifying.
yeah, uh, I think The Shining. I think,
Oh, it's so
but
cool.
yeah, The Exorcist is my number 4.
Great pick.
Mhm,
I guess I can pick. I did write down some honorable mentions.
mhm,
So I just watched this one the other day, and this one scared me, and I don't know why this movie scared me, but Insidious. That was terrifying.
yes, yeah. Now I saw that in a tiny little theater, like on a cold Sunday night. I didn't know what to expect going into it. Now
I
at the
didn't even know what
time
to expect.
now at the time I wasn't big into YouTube and whatnot. I didn't check out trailers. So I pretty much went in blind. I had no idea, who James Wan was. Um, so I think prior to that I had seen Saw. So I guess I didn't know that he had directed this next film.
The Insidious.
Insidious, yeah. And and I was just like creeped out overall.
It's just
The
creepy.
experience is creepy. Yeah, especially seeing it for the first time.
That was
Yeah.
my first time, and I was like, "This is really creepy." Like I am creeped
Yeah.
out right now.
And it's so cool with being a YouTuber. You get to, on YouTube some video will pop up someone seeing, a movie like Insidious for the first time and
Oh yeah.
seeing their reactions. And just recently there was a semi new YouTuber who saw like Scream for the first time. I think that's cool.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
getting to hear their, seeing their reaction, getting to hear their opinion about the movie. Yeah. It's like a lot of I like that, movie community, whether you're into horror movies, it just brings people together.
So I recently just started, so I never really watched horror movies when I was a kid. So I recently just started getting into horror when I got to like in my 20s. So I'm 29. So I started like when I was 20 years old, so about 9 years ago. And
Mhm,
I just keep coming across all these new ones I've never seen before, which
mhm.
is so fun.
Yeah. I guess I kind of grew up around horror movies. I remember so I had an uncle and cousins who lived in the same town as us. We would go visit them often, and they would be big into movies. I would think because something. Let's see, a movie that would be on one day when I would be over would be Leprechaun. They had I don't know if you've seen Leprechaun from
I have, yeah.
1993. That would be
Mhm.
on one time,
It's such a
or
fun movie.
yeah, or Warlock, Warlock 2. I don't know if you've seen Warlock or
I
Warlock
have
2.
seen those, yes. Those are fun too.
Yeah, so like every now and then it would be something on. It would just kind of stick with me over time. Um, and I just that kind of um, my exploration with horror movies kind of grew from there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we'd always go to this mom and pop video store we had in town, and I would just always see these big bright colors of the VHS covers, and just those sparking my imagination too, and just yeah, it just came to be this whole thing over time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so like I
Yeah.
never grew up with them, so I just
Mhm.
got into them.
Yeah. And fun fact about my channel. So one day I decided to make a YouTube channel and call
Ooh.
it Darkroom Reviews. And in my head, I had it that, okay, I'm gonna just strictly talk horror movies, give my opinions on them. And it was that for about a week or two. And then I was like, yeah, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna branch out, talk about other movies
Yeah.
from different genres, and but I look, I stuck with the name Darkroom Reviews.
I like the name. The name is really creative.
Yeah, it just popped in my head that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I believe it is your go. Yes.
Is it okay? So my
Mhm.
number three is Scream from 1996.
Okay.
We already talked about it, but I think if you get a group of people together, you can have this big long conversation about this movie alone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone would
Um,
have something different to say about the movie. About
mhm.
the scenes, about the killers. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it always surprises me too. Like I always try to like scene by scene, I try to pick apart or try to imagine like how they were able to do that, in the right time before, someone shows up. And in one particular scene, I believe it's the first time that Ghostface calls Sydney at her house, and
Okay.
he tells her he's outside. She goes outside and investigate, but he's not there. Now it sounds like he's nearby. So I was thinking like, okay, clearly it's obviously, spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. It's Billy's the ghost, one of the Ghostface killers, and he tends to like pop up in her window, right through her window.
Oh, yeah, so he
So,
was outside and then yeah, he popped up through her window.
well, during the phone call, I suspected that he was on the
Someone's
roof.
out.
He was on the roof, maybe, uh,
Oh, yeah.
making that phone call. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but
I mean, he would have had to been on the roof. She was outside looking.
yeah, true. And then Stu could have been, most likely it was him in that closet when she gets attacked. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that was probably yeah.
yeah, so that's my take. uh,
That's a fun take.
yeah. All right, you're up.
All right, so I guess I'm just talking about new ones I've seen this year. So one that I seen this year that I watched for the first time was Jeepers Creepers.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen that before. That was fun.
It was.
It's like fun, cheesy fun. Like it's a fun like creature because I guess he's a
Mhm.
creature. But yeah, that was a fun one for sure.
Yeah, it was the first time I saw Justin Long on screen. At that time, I think that's the movie that really made him, a standout in Hollywood and other movies.
I
But
just know him from like comedy movies.
mhm. Yeah,
And then
yeah,
I was like, "Oh, he's in Jeepers Creepers?" I was like, "Okay, we got to check this out." And I had a blast
yeah,
with it. It was a good movie.
it was. When I first saw it, I was curious about, okay, what does this thing look like? You know, and it's terrifying to, by the end we see it, what it really is,
It's
and
really
why
not that terrifying. It doesn't look that terrifying. He's not
it's after
yeah.
them. And
Yeah, he's
it's
not really that creepy.
mm-mm. I think I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of the scares has to do with the I freeze. I think I froze.
Thank you, froze.
Yeah, I think I did. I don't know. How do I get back on?
uh, is there like a button, like the camera button at the bottom?
Mm,
It'll say like cam mic chat. Is your mic off? Or your cam, sorry?
um, possibly. No, let me go into settings.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Take your time.
Okay.
I'll
Uh,
entertain
all
everyone.
right. Yeah.
Nala. Hello,
Mm,
Nala.
it's loading. It's
There we go.
loading. Oh, went slow on my end. Okay, there.
You're all good.
All right. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I think what makes um, Jeepers Creepers terrifying are the performances too. You really, like, for instance, Justin Long. He's petrified. He's scared from what he's seen, and
Like when he's seen, yeah. Down
he's
Under.
yeah, he's convincing enough to
Mhm.
where the audience is spooked
I felt
too.
spooked. I felt
Yeah,
spooked, but then when I seen the creature, I was like, "What is this?"
yeah. I think what's even more creepy is, this thing's backstory too. Yeah.
Yes. I heard that the second one is better than the first. I've been getting a lot of comments like that. A lot of people have been saying that. So I definitely feel like I have to check that one out next.
Oh yeah, check it out. I do recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'll be pleased with the outcome.
Of that one, yeah.
Yeah. But just a heads up, don't watch the third one or fourth one because they're not they suck.
I've also been told not to go past two.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I definitely won't be going past two.
Yeah. I had to find out the hard.
The hard way.
Okay, so I think you're.
You're next. I did Jeepers Creepers.
Oh, that's right. Okay. My number two is A Nightmare on Elm Street, of course.
Nah.
So yeah.
Because it's the
So
best.
Yeah, I'm a simple guy. I like just the the obvious ones, the Halloweens, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, Friday the 13th. But yeah, there's something that it's impactful. Um, there are a lot of things to like about Nightmare on Elm Street as a horror fan. You have the music, the atmosphere. Right from that opening scene, you're in for something scary. Um, and we come to find out that all
It
that
is.
scariness is because of this figure
Mhm.
that we know. We find a little bit about his backstory. Yeah.
Which is so nice to always find the killer's backstory. It's just like
Mhm.
we should always know about the killer's backstory.
Mhm.
Because if not, then we're like, okay, why is this person doing this? This is kind of, worthless. Eh,
Yeah. About that, to add to that comment, I don't think. Do you think every slasher needs like a backstory? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like every slasher kind of does need a backstory. And I
Mhm.
mean, I guess I've really never I never seen a movie with one that hasn't really had a backstory.
Mhm.
Because everything
True, true.
always does.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
Mhm.
But I think it's more entertaining also that a
It has.
thing a thing, is hunting down some people, you don't know why.
Yeah.
I think it's clever. I think it's clever. Yeah. I'm gonna have to do some research. I'm sure there's movies where there's a monster or a killer
A
that's
killer that doesn't.
in the movie. There's no explanation why.
It's gonna be a
I think there's
bad
movies like that.
slasher rated movie. One of those cheesy B
Possibly,
movies.
possibly.
Most
Yeah,
likely.
I'm sure there's a list. There's got to be a list. Yeah.
That'll be your
Uh,
homework.
yeah, I'll do it for fun. Yeah. So, okay,
Let's
you
see.
have.
Okay. Another one that I watched for the first time this year is I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Mhm.
That's a very popular one for a lot of people. I
Yeah.
watched that one. That was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed that one.
Mhm.
A lot of good kills for sure.
Mhm.
Did you like that one?
I did. It was huge. I think it came out after Scream. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it did because
I think it.
I never watched it.
I think it was part of that wave of new slasher films that tried to copy Scream, try to get popular at that time, and it succeeded for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
For the longest time, it succeeded. I found out that there might be a sequel coming out or something
Oh, I
like that.
heard about that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think is it next year or the next one after?
Possibly.
Okay. I thought so. So I was like, is it next year or 2026? One of
Yeah,
those.
but yeah, it's a standout too. What always confused me was the reason why um the guy with the hook was after these teenagers. It always confused me. I don't know.
I think he probably had like something mentally wrong with him.
I don't know if you can explain it to me, but so the teenagers, obviously, if you haven't seen the movie, you have a group of teenagers who graduated high school. They're out partying, drinking one night. They eventually hit a person on the road. They leave him for dead, and stuff starts occurring a year later. Now, so is the person that got hit? Is that the same person that after them a year later, or is it someone different?
I believe it's someone different
Okay.
because they never like hit the person that's trying to kill them because they just
Uh-huh.
the person knows what they did. But yeah, it was
Uh-huh.
never the person that was
Okay.
ran over.
Okay. Yeah. I think it was someone who witnessed.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
and then apparently just started killing them. That's a movie. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
That explanation kind of always confused me there. Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's a slasher killer dude who doesn't have a backstory.
Uh, I think the killer was related
Oh,
to
okay, so he
the
does have a
person who got run over.
backstory.
Somehow he was related to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I guess my number one is probably the obvious one, Halloween, the original Halloween.
A great movie.
Yeah.
Classic.
Um, what is there to say that hasn't already been
Said
said?
about Halloween.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the backstory as to why this little boy committed this heinous crime. You know, in the beginning of the movie, we see it actually happen, and then it cut 2 years later. We find out he escapes from a mental institution, and he's out to get Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. Um, now I like the continuation, the sequels. The fact that the sequels after the first one didn't bother me. I wasn't a fan of part two. It just felt like it was done by someone else completely. It wasn't done by. It was. I think the script was done by John Carpenter, but it was done directed by someone else. And that little input too. There was an input. I don't know if you've seen part two,
Yeah.
Halloween
Oh
two.
yeah, I've seen them all.
We kind of find out that Michael's Laurie Strode's brother, and I don't know, but just
It's just
that
it's
make
a
that make
great series. Like there's
Mhm.
just so many of them.
It is, yeah. There we are.
I
Now,
just don't know why there had to been so many of them. Do you like the new ones?
I was a fan. I really dug Halloween 2018.
I like
I
that
was
one.
I like the fact that the idea that these two people were making a documentary of the backstory of Michael and Laurie Strode. I like that portion of the movie. I thought that was clever
Mm.
because for the longest time I wanted to find out what really drove Michael. Was it something demonic that drove him? Was he just insane? I so but I like unfortunately the movie didn't really touch on give us a reason why. But yeah, I enjoyed the first one, the 2018 one. Uh, Halloween Kills. Hey, Jason. Let's see if we can get us. Oh, there you go. Okay. If you haven't checked out Jason's channel, go check it out. He's got all sorts of fun content on there. Subscribe to his channel. You can do that. Just Jason Entertainment. Yeah. So Jason, Halloween Kills. Um, I guess it gets a pass from me, but I wanted to see more Laurie on screen. um, I like that it brought back some of the OG characters.
That
That
was
was
nice.
nice.
I
That
like
was
that
neat. That was
too.
clever. And we get to Halloween Ends. I was like, what the heck is this?
Oh my god, I know.
Why is this guy going in the sewers? Or
It was the most weirdest
I don't know.
one I've ever seen out of them all. I was like, what is this? What is happening? And where are they going from this?
Yeah, I do like that all three movies take place on one night or something like that.
Mhm.
I don't know, I could be wrong.
But
But
like the
yeah,
kills
I
in
think
the
that was
last one when they tried to like when they killed him, it was like basically like, how did you kill him? Like
Mhm.
he's impossible to kill. And then all of a sudden he's not.
Yeah, so I liked how the movie wrapped up.
You like how it
Um,
wrapped up.
yeah, I mean, just I'm glad it's done. You know, the big fight between Michael and Laurie, and
You're like, thank
oh, it's
God.
done. It's done. Yeah. So if you have any last recommendations for Halloween season?
I guess like I watched the other day, I watched a movie that I've never seen before, but I've seen the remake, which was The Last House on the Left, from
Okay.
1972. Have you seen that movie?
Mhm.
That is
Years ago.
very crazy.
It's it's rough. It's rough. I remember I
It's
saw it
so
one time.
rough.
It's rough.
Oh my gosh. I just couldn't
And
believe
controversial too.
everything. Yeah, I felt so
Right.
uncomfortable. But it made you like want to just keep watching though. You're like, what is
Mhm.
happening? Like, who are these people?
Mhm.
Which you do find
Yeah.
out eventually, which was like, okay. Another one that I watched was The Butterfly Effect with
Okay.
Ashton Kutcher. That was a good
Mhm.
movie. I really enjoyed that one.
Last time I saw it on DVD. Um, it didn't it didn't hold up
No?
for me. I don't know. I might give it another rewatch. I know there was like if you had the DVD from back then, there was like multiple like alternate endings, something like that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. There's kind of like
Yeah.
I remember the video game. There's a video game kind of like it too. And I was like, oh, like I want to check this movie out. I've never checked it out before. And I was like, oh, it's pretty good. Like it's not scary. It's just one of those nice watches. I didn't find it
Mhm.
scary. Mhm.
All right, folks, this is going to wrap up the video. Do subscribe to Tiana's channel. I will leave a link below. Thank you so very much for watching. Thank you for Tiana for joining me.
Thanks for having
It's
me,
been
Joel. That was so fun.
yeah, it's been a real pleasure. We should do it again sometime. I'm sure we
We
will.
can.
All right. Till next time.
Bye, everyone.
Let's see. Thing about these streams is like they don't always
End.
and